Hello all, here for the latest version of streaming Neverwinter and talking about the lore of D&D. So today we're going to take a look at how the Neverwinter MMO implements one of my favorite, really my favorite 5e adventure and one of my top adventures of all time, which is the Tomb of Annihilation. Tomb of Annihilation came out just a couple of years ago. It's a big, massive campaign that takes you into the jungle land of Chult, part of the Forgotten Realms. And from there, you delve into the jungle out of the one town called Port Nyanzaru. You go into the jungle, into these ruins of ancient civilizations, and you try to find out the reason to the huge mystery that's spanning all of Forgotten Realms, which is why is anybody who has died unable to come back to life, and why are those who have in the past been returned from the death wasting away. In this stream, I'm going to avoid spoilers for the adventure almost entirely. There might be very mild things there, nothing that would destroy your enjoyment of the game. I will say that Neverwinter itself, the MMO adaptation of this, unfortunately does spoil the campaign. It's not a direct copy of the campaign, but the end of it, how it all ends, is spoiled. So I'm not going to cover that kind of thing, which is done really in dungeons towards the end. But you will, if you want to see how Neverwinter interprets that, you can do a search for the Tomb of Annihilation, Neverwinter MMO, Temple of the Nine Gods, and you will find a run of that so that you can see what that dungeon looks like. It's pretty cool. It's a nice interpretation of what the Temple of the Nine Gods looks like in the adventure itself. But I'm going to largely stay away from that and just show you the coolness of this environment. So let's switch here to our game. I'm going to this time run my rogue named Chance. Chance, she's a halfling, has these kind of cool axes that she attacks with. Like the rest of the classes in the game, this is based on the 4th edition view of what classes look like. I'm totally cool with that. It's a lot of fun to see it. So when we start the game, we go through a brief introduction, which I'm actually not going to show here because I don't have a character capable of replaying it. But I did do this actually in a stream with Rudy Basso. Shout out to Rudy, who does such awesome work on podcasts and videos. We played through that, and you may have that somewhere. But you come in on, the idea is on a tiny ship with this captain, and you come to the beautiful Port Nyanzaru, and let's check out those sweeping views. If you check out old D&D source books, there were several cities you could visit in Chult, previous to 5th edition. But then the spell plague came along and kind of destroyed everything. And so when we come here in 5th edition games, we find that there is only this one place, Port Nyanzaru, owned by 5 powerful merchant princes. So you come in on the ship of Captain Dumish.
What do you want?
Dumish?
Aye, I did. If I can't survive a barnacle-laden dragon turtle and a few oversized lizards, then I don't deserve to be called captain. Mind you,
Now,
I'm a captain.
if that's not box text that you should borrow for a captain NPC, I don't know what is. Pretty sweet. He's got the peg leg, he's got the attitude, he's got fun lines, and he's got a ship that has water in it that's just a tiny little rowboat, basically, because the dragon turtle destroyed his ship. So we're going to take a look around the town, just so you can get a feel of it. I find this kind of thing just awesome eye candy and really neat for me to think about how I portray a town. Now, I ran Tomb of Annihilation already, so I've done a big campaign in this place and done my best to bring it to life. And I actually did borrow some visuals here towards the end of the campaign with it. I love the colors here. There's some neat art in the book itself, but I really like the architecture and the coloring they used, the design here. People's dress is really neat. This is the main market square, and this is kind of depicted in art in the book. one of the main gates, the only main gate you really use in this game. Really kind of fun. I just think this is a super cool looking town. When it first came out, this was really impressive for all the players. When you show up here, you initially are on a ship with a bunch of people, including Minsk and his partner Boo. So it's fun to talk to him.
Hello, my friend. Are you enjoying the wonders of Chult? Who was asking?
So, were you enjoying the wonders of Chult? They tried to eat me.
Boo and I agree. Many nasty big-toothed creatures out there. You must be very careful when you leave the gates of Port Nyanzaru. Take a friend, or a friendly hamster. But not Boo. Boo and I don't like being separated. The bond between Minsk and Boo is strong. What else can Minsk do for you?
So you start here with Minsk and Boo being in this little kind of enclave. You can go over here and you can meet Chris Perkins. I mean Volo. But the voice is done for Volo is done by Chris Perkins. Volo is in the book, in the original adventure. You can find him. He's basically writing Mordenkainen's Guide to Monsters. And so here he's actually asking about how to hunt, and this is Hunter's Square. And there are all number of hunters here, and this being the kind of game it is. You talk to these cool hunters, and they're looking for stuff, and you give them these little parts, and then you can get back some kind of things that you need for this hunt process that's here. There's a whole campaign progression. This game, it has a campaign system, and whenever you look at it, it has sort of ways to progress, and you can unlock boons, which make you more powerful. You can unlock story components, which is what I'm working on today, or you can actually go on these hunts, which help you towards the other goals and unlock different ways to fight these huge creatures that are sort of special that roam around the game, or even invoke the giant tyrant. But what I like about this, I think is pretty cool, is just to listen to Chris Perkins' voice, because it's really hilarious. No, I guess it's not playing the voice for this. Let's see, this should give me some voices.
How fared your audience with the prince? Eager to get started on the road to fame and fortune? I told you about the King of Spines before, the boat-sized beastie. The hunters around here know how to lure such rare marks out of hiding, and they'll trade that information for trophies from rare fiends. Go out, find just such a monster, and bring back a trophy. With your help, this book will be my magnum opus. That means bestseller.
I love the combination of Volo's personality and Chris Perkins' personality here. It really cracks me up. So there's a whole fun hunting system that you can learn about and all these kinds of things. We're not going to get into too much beyond what I've already said, but I think it's great that he's here selling books and you can go off and do this. There are a number of different vendors that offer armor and things like that. You can talk to them in different areas of the city. And then we're going to go over here to what is supposed to be, I guess, a merchant prince villa. In the game, we really focus on two different merchant princes, only one which is really obvious for me now, though later we'll see a Kine'afa. You can see her standing here. You begin by speaking with Wakanga Otamu.
From what your friends Volo and Minsk have told me, you seek to end the death curse that plagues our world. I do not have the answers you seek, but others...
So they do some nice voice work, and here this ties into, as you can see, if you know the Tomb of Annihilation adventure, this ties in directly into the events that happen in the adventure before the adventure really starts, where you have to go figure out what's happening with the members of the Order of the Gauntlet, who have a camp out in the Soshenstar River, the big huge river that flows out of, or right by Port Nyanzaru and down into the heart of Chult. So you can accept that quest and figure out what's going on, which is what we're going to do. There are a number of other things here, and later I'll post a video as well that will be a run through a skirmish that happens involving the merchant princes, where this area is attacked. So it's kind of fun to see how they change it. But for now, we're going to go out of the city and check out the jungle itself. get into a mini-map here. Eventually, we'll have Omu on our map. That's the second place you can go to. But the first place is this Soshenstar River area. Since this isn't my first time, I get a nice little video playing. Chult has a lot of fun lore to it. One of the coolest things is the concept of the god Ubtao. That is actually represented fairly well here. Ubtao was a primordial that in the very, very early history, we're talking 30,000 years before year 0 in the Forgotten Realms calendar, Ubtao, during the war between primordials and gods, joined Team Good with the gods and decided, when there was this danger of this horrible serpent beast coming out and swallowing the world, Dendar the Night Serpent, he decided that what he would do is he would stay in this land and protect it and be ever watchful, ever vigilant, should Dendar try to escape and eat the whole world. So that's what Ubtao is doing here. Now Ubtao, though, being primordial and less of a kind of typical god, is distant from his people and at various points sort of disappears from them or disapproves of what they've done. I had the pleasure of writing one of the big Origins, that premiered at Origins, but one of the big D&D open events that dealt with this storyline and how Ubtao felt about Chult. It was kind of fun. So we're outside the city gates and we're going to go into the jungle itself. They do a good job of trying to keep it relatively uncluttered so you can see some views in the distance, but also giving you that feel of still being a deep jungle. We're on an initial quest, which is a bit silly. The idea is that we're going to light torches in the jungle. I don't know why games do this. Like, how long is that going to last? You know, great, I've got some light there. That's, what, a couple hours? Cool. But that was the important task I was given, and it's an excuse to run around through this jungle area. You can see it's pretty neat, all the little vines. And there are critters. You know, you just kind of, oh, wow, look, I'm being attacked by little tiny dinosaurs that toss me to the ground and eat me, like, fight like a pack. So I better throw a smoke bomb down and start tearing into them, because they will eat me alive. The forest is a dangerous place, or the jungle, but they have toned it down. When this game first came out, everything had a very large aggro radius. And I know from video games, an aggro radius is sort of the radius at which monsters respond to you and go, oh, look, you're there, we should do something about that, the way these velociraptors did. So it used to be so huge that you just could only move a few feet before another pack of something would come at you, which really was kind of a very Chultan feel. They did that really well. But I would say that it was kind of overdone in terms of fun. Here's some giant spiders. So we're just going to go past them and continue on our quest here. We're going to ignore those dinosaurs because we don't want them to eat us or endlessly fight them. And light this torch. And, oh, I guess they've detected me. So never mind that. I'll do a little fight. Vicious, terrible things. Now I talked about the hunt a bit, and one of the things that happens is that when you're fighting mobs like that, some types of mobs can be unusual mobs, and they drop special little bits, and you get those various bits together with some other things that you get from bosses, and you can make sort of lures to get next level of strange creatures and stuff, and that's kind of certainly an interesting system, fun system, if you like that kind of thing. There are different zones of monsters, as you might imagine, in either a role-playing game or a video game. So if we kind of look at the map, you know, this area is sort of wild and dinosaurs. Oh, look, we've got a big heroic encounter. Let's go over there and do that. So heroic encounters in the game, throughout the game, there's sort of big boss fights that usually need a bunch of people to do them. And go past these tigers. They do a nice job of hiding creatures here. This is a popular event these days. People are way stronger than they were a while back. You know, we're gonna get started the fight. So here we go. This used to be so, I was saying, this used to be really, really hard. It is less hard now. You can see we can do some good damage to this guy. But it was rough. It used to be that 3 people could, no way could they fight him. Oh, well, there you go. I have been killed. Fortunately, a kind person is helping me. This is one of my weaker characters. I often play my weaker characters through these campaigns to advance them. As a rogue, I do have some ways to evade damage, but it's hard. There are just a couple of us. These things are cool in that when you're fighting these kinds of big monsters, the dinosaurs will topple over, which is a really neat interpretation of what it would be like to fight against these big things. So when they've toppled over, you can do extra damage to them. We've almost got him. One of the neat things I like here is you don't actually defeat the King of Spines, you just drive him away, which I thought was really a neat idea. I think we've about got him here. Ooh, rough. It's great attacks, right? Shoving you away. Okay, so he is turn, tail, and running. We've dispatched the others, and we have done the heroic encounter. Cool. I'm glad you got to see that. It's not always possible to do that. I found there's one of those rare pieces, dinosaur hide. I didn't have that before. So nice, well done. We got to see that. That's cool. There's a collection system where when you find things, you get to see them, and my dinosaur hide gets added to the collection. So we'll run away from those guys. Lots of neat ruins. There are quests you can pick up later to explore them, and those offer nice sort of insights into the game. But I'm still on my quest here to light these torches. Oh, more dinosaurs. The foes there are a lot of dinosaurs in certain areas, but there is a lot more in Chult. They do a nice job of bringing this place in, making it feel like a neat area. You can find rare plants and things like that in the jungle, and you can use them to craft. Did I miss any torches further back? I guess not. Ooh, more dinosaurs. Run away. No, someone's fighting a smaller T-Rex there. See if we can sneak in and light the torch. It's gonna help them, but I do my own. Apparently lighting the torch comes with an automatic attack from velociraptors and such. This character is a rogue. As a rogue, I can drop smoke bombs, I can do some sort of armor-piercing type attacks that weaken characters, things like that. Neat. Dodge things. I can go invisible. I kind of do a little cloaking bit. So now we come to the river. Here's the neat Soshenstar River. It's really pretty. If you have a boat, you can actually go inside of it and go around and do fishing to find things in the river. Unlock different types of fish. I see giant crabs. It's really gorgeous. I love the sort of Kilimanjaro-inspired backdrops. I'll just run past these guys. And here we are at Camp Vengeance, which is really neat to see if you saw the actual adventure. Look how cool that is. It's got the whole palisades, and we can run around it. We have a quest about this. Two things. As usual, they give us neat lore. It's all taken right out of the book. So they created Camp Righteous, the Order of the Gauntlet. Things did not go well. They were attacked by all the undead, so they had to retreat and work their way back to here and then build this camp. So we talked to Niles Breakbone.
The Order of the Gauntlet shall prevail.
Indeed.
Niles Breakbone, at your service. I'm the commander of the Order of the Gauntlet Templars, stationed here at Camp Vengeance, such as it is. What else can I do?
So he gives us a quest where we need to destroy undead around here because they are such a problem.
This evil from the land, but we lost.
What is it now?
She's pretty awesome in the book. She's also really cool here.
Breakbone's delegating his responsibilities again, eh? At least he has
I had a nice
sense
moment
to
in my
return to
home
a veteran
campaign
regarding
where
military matters.
the Niles Breakbone is kind of not the best leader, and the player characters were sort of exerting their influence and helping the camp to do better, working with Pern. And at one point when there was an attack on the camp, all these dinosaurs and undead were attacking, and there was this choice a character got to make, whether they saved the commander Breakbone, and the player decided to actually save them, but could have decided to let them fall, and then later they got a vision where they got to see, had they not made the choice they did to save them, how they would have been asked to be in charge of the camp, and which was kind of fun for them to see that. So we've got our little camp here. One of the funny things is you can take on a quest to find more of these Saha balls, which actually look a lot like the things from Castaway, and you can find them sort of hidden throughout there, which is really a funny little mini quest, almost Easter egg. So we're told to go destroy some undead, and in fact there are various spots where they are. And this is actually a nice way to tour the area and see some of the other inhabitants of this jungle. We're going to go sort of a windy way to come around back to where we are, if that makes sense. A visitation kind of way. When you play this, you kind of learn the zones of the different monsters and what you might find. There are various T-Rexes that roam and things like that, which is kind of fun. You can see the representation of this is really just great, and when you're first playing, it is just big enough that you get kind of lost and have to wonder, which way you should go and what you might find. It's neat. You can actually jump on a number of those big, huge trees that you see kind of spanning overhead. You can do that. We'll come back to this spot later, but this is Camp Righteous, with the original camp they first had. It's been taken over by Yuan Ti, and that is the Temple of the Crocodile God, which we also get to do as part of the campaign. We'll try to run past some of these Yuan Ti. There'll be plenty of opportunity. We're not going to run past these, so I'll fight them. But there are different kinds of Yuan Ti, and they have some neat ideas on how you how they attack you and what they do. Some of them will take over your mind and force you to run away or stand there dumbstruck. We're gonna with them village. Take care of this spot of evil bones. I'm talking about, as we run through this area and do these quests, a little bit of the lore of Tomb of Annihilation. It mashes up the old Chult setting, modernizing it, making it a little better for this day and age. Not everybody feels it's perfect, but they certainly tried pretty hard to create a more modern take on it, less colonial. So, for example, in the old setting, they're dealing with really being colonized. Here, the colonizers are really called out as oppressors, and the idea is that Chult is now casting aside those colonial roots, which I greatly appreciated. And what they also mash into the idea of a new inspiration on Chult, check out these cool views, is that they are taking in elements of Greyhawk and the classic adventure Tomb of Horrors. From Tomb of Horrors, they bring in a Serac and the idea of a death trap dungeon, and mash those two things together, which is pretty cool. And we're going to see something in a little bit later, but sometimes it's kind of neat to find places like this, like what is this, and then we might not be able to get through. I think in fact it might not let us, or did it let us? Yeah, it doesn't. So we try to get in, and we're unable to do so. I'm going to run past this T-Rex before he gets us. More dinos there on one side. There's an area here that has the undead, and another part of the influence that's brought into this game is the Thayans. And the Thayans have a presence most strongly around here. Looks like these players might have wiped them out, but you can see a few Thayans there. And there are often a huge number of wizards that hung out there and do battle if you're not careful. There's a weekend when they're giving extra currency for doing Chult, so there are a lot of people doing this content, so sometimes they'll wipe out things that you might want to see, but this is one of the areas that has a strong fan presence, and you can go into the ruins as part of various quests and see what they're up to. Faye is involved in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure for a pretty good reason, which is that they are a nation of liches. And as a nation of liches, it's really not cool when you have some sort of magical effect that is preventing being brought to life. It actually completed that bullet quest. They have a big problem with coming back to life and putting their souls inside of phylacteries. So they look into the death lich, or death curse in Chult to find out how to either stop it or control it and use it to their use. See, I'm fighting some fun things like bone golems and all that. All as part of this quest. The dummy mage. No, I'm lucky. Looks like for this quest I need to kill off a few more undead, so we'll take down some of those rotting ogres. They have some nice knockback effects. Do a nice orc-like growl when taken down. There's some whites. We've seen some of these before. They get reused here. There are a few new types of undead as well, but they will summon other undead if you don't stop them fast enough, which is kind of cool. I'm going to kill some more of these folks. So we can do two groups at once. Yeah, you know what, let's play dangerous. Let's do a bunch of them. They'll probably tear me up. Yeah, they slam into the ground. That was what we expected, but maybe they'll come in my fists. Hear their lamentations. Mad boots, mad boots. I won't talk too much about Serac because that gets into some of the spoilers and nice story of Tomb of Annihilation's trying to do an adventure. But they do a pretty good job here of starting off pretty relaxed with it, and then eventually they tell you what's really going on. It's the kind of thing you can miss if you're playing this video game. I mean, it is an MMO, but the story really is there, and I appreciate that they do a good job of bringing those aspects to life and representing them in this game. The D&D and Neverwinter team, I've had the pleasure of meeting members of them, both that work with Cryptic, but are Wizards employees, and Cryptic people who work with the Wizards team. And they take it very seriously to treat the intellectual property, the story of all this, and make it kind of cool. So, and to be a real rendition of it.
You did it? Well done!
I know,
well
I did
done.
it. I'm a
This
hero.
will at least stem the tide of the undead seeking to destroy us.
Neverwinter does
May the
a number of
blessing of
repetitive
Torn
quests, and the way it'll work is the first time you do a zone, you get these quests for the very first time, and later you repeat them.
We
So
lost
it's a
many
little bit lame,
good
but it's really cool the
soldiers
first
and
time.
barely escaped with our lives. Now we're running low on supplies and getting desperate.
Alright, so we need
We sent
supplies,
some of our
and there are some
remaining
wounded
Templars
still
to
at Camp Righteous.
to recover some
It's not
camp
quite true in the
supplies,
adventure, but
they
that's
haven't
okay.
returned.
We're gonna go help them
I
out.
fear that they have succumbed to sickness, injury.
I find that almost everything in this zone makes me excited about running jungle adventures. I like all the description, the things here that you could describe, right? Falling logs that you have to cross over, rope bridges. We have, the fans. We have the chance of running into really horrible dinosaurs like that. They run away. Go invisible. And they got away. Just, great stuff. Look at that. That is neat. The ruins that you can find and delve into. A lot of really nice elements there. And as I said, you later unlock quests to go into these ruins. Some of them are sort of what they call patrol quests that you get to redo, and others are one-time quests where you have to do a particular thing. Alright, so here we go with one of these, moving on to Zealot, and then the Mind Whisperer is one that tries to take you over. That was fast enough. I've got some supplies. Oh, that Templar is alive, so I don't get credit for him. That's a shame for me. This guy's down. The Yuan-Ti have a lot of nice attacks that add good color to them, so they'll have poison attacks, they'll have mind control, they'll have sort of big zones that grasp you and hurl you up. There's a ton of lore about Dendar and things like that, so they really do a great job of speaking to the lore of the game. If you do check out the Tomb of the Nine Gods, that's also done pretty well in this game, so that it feels similar to the, shorter, but it feels like it does in the book itself. Love having these, Venus flytraps that look totally huge. The remnants of this camp. It's been overrun. Yeah, I think they've gone to detective. Yeah, okay. Let's see where it is. There's the person who needs my help.
Thank you, adventurer.
You're very welcome. You go invisible, they get question marks because they don't know where you are. Anyway, clever. And still catch you.
You saved me.
As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me and let me know what questions you have about either this interpretation of the Tomb of Annihilation and Chult, or if you have questions about Neverwinter, the game itself, let me know. For those of you who follow my blog, last night I wrote about writing a D&D adventure with a child or teenager, because it's something that I've been doing as a fun stay-at-home activity, given that school is a little weaker than normal. It was, it's kind of good to reinforce key skills. So to reinforce writing, we've been working, or I decided to do an adventure with my son and co-write it, which has been a really, really fun idea. I need one more Templar that I can save, and then I can be in good shape. But I don't find any bodies. See if that other guy came back. No, one more Suffering Templar. We'll complete the quest. Lots of colorful birds that move around and startle them as you move through. Love those kinds of details. And if you follow me on Twitter, last night I was looking at the Unearthed Arcana Psionics rules, which were put out, the second version of them. I found those to be really neat, and I talked about what I thought of those. I'm a big fan of psionics and keeping the game weird from time to time. I like to see those differences. Alright, come on, quests. Regenerate. They will respawn at some point, and then I'll have my chance to get a Templar. There we go. Alright, we have saved enough people to complete the quest. We'll go back to our NPC, Sister Sias. Tell her the good news that Camp Righteous, we evacuated the wounded, and brought back supplies. In later quests, you get to go into the actual Temple of the Crocodile God, and that's pretty cool. There's one other really fun piece of this that I want to show you, which will require turning in this quest, but it's pretty neat. If you have some preferences with what I should cover in future sessions, what you want to see sooner rather than later,
May the
let me know.
blessing. Many of the Templars you healed have returned here speaking of your mercy. And thank you for recovering so many supplies. You are truly a blessing from
I've been
Torn.
thinking about doing the Avernus one, which is the current D&D adventure, and showing you what's there. That could be fun.
The Order of the Gauntlet. Chult, you have done much to aid our cause, adventurer. I will keep true to my word by revealing what I know about the Death Curse. There is an old crone who lives on the hidden plateau of Mbala, overlooking the Soshenstar River.
So this is kind of neat.
She goes by the name of
Mildly spoilery, although my group never went to this place. But it is kind of fun. We get to deal with
She may be the
this
one who
old
created
crone.
your charm, for I possess a similar one called the Crone.
So I get a special charm. You remember that spot where I couldn't go through before? Now I've been given this special charm. Somehow Niles must have made a deal with her at some point. It's the kind of thing Niles would do. So we're gonna run through the jungle to that area and go visit Nanny Pu'pu. I think a neat bit of sort of trivia is that when they were working on this adventure, the really cool authors, Adam Lee and Chris Perkins, Will Doyle, all that gang, they were kind of placed in the adventure. Whoever it was that was working on that kind of just added Nanny Pu'pu as a name that I think their playtest group came up with or something. I don't know, but it was sort of like just a for now name, and it ended up sticking all the way through, which was really very funny. I think the name's great, and it was a lot of fun to use her in the D&D Open. So now we're going to go through the mists. And this is kind of neat. They're going to intersect some of the Neverwinter story with the Tomb of Annihilation type story. So one thing that's cool is all these bones. If you know the book story, these are the bones of all the people that used to live in Mbala. It's seen as a cursed place. So we come in here. Certainly looks very sketchy. Who doesn't love having a poor goblin, dear goblin in a cave, and having a weird old crone?
Who comes to see Nanny? What can old Nanny Pu'pu do for you?
Great voice, right?
Why do you come to see Nanny Pu'pu in cursed Mbala? You seek a love charm? A curse? No, you seek knowledge. Nanny Pu'pu knows many things, but knowledge has a price.
There's always a price. Yeah, it's perfect. So, you know, it always sounds so good when you make a deal with somebody like this. Hey, bacteria goblins, they know the powerful magic, they stole my juju bags, okay. And you gotta get it there. Also, by the way, you might say no to this quest, but aren't you missing a friend? Yeah, okay, I know where they are, they're over there too, so how convenient. And we get a vision to show us who it is, which is Celeste. Celeste is one of the Neverwinter characters in kind of their own lore. And Celeste had kind of gotten separated during a cutscene we saw when we first were starting out the campaign for Chult. So now we realize what happened. She, fell on bad luck there. The game also has some neat little sort of things called these what are they called, orbs or something that you can look at, and every zone has these Scrying Stones, and you can use it to get a ton of kind of these pretty cutscenes that show you places. And finding them can be kind of fun, sometimes involve sort of leaping from one place to another. It can be quite difficult and ridiculous to pull off. You feel good finding them all. Alright, let's go check out the Batiri Goblin Village. Oop, what did I do? I went back in. Not paying attention. What happened? How am I not getting through the mists? See? There we go. Maybe I was too far ahead. Okay. I made it out. Survived. We're gonna run past this place. I like the sounds too. You do a nice job with the soundtrack. It's always hard for me to think of what campaign Neverwinter has done the best job with. I have two quests that are probably my favorites, and this might be kind of my third after it. I super love what they did with the Dread Ring. That's why I did that as my first stream. I think it's just awesome how they interpreted that. And then I also really like, there's a whole sequence of quests with Neverdeath Graveyard in the city of Neverwinter when you're fairly low level. Lore here about the Batiri, these goblins that worship Maglubiet, and how they wear masks and things like that, super superstitious. So here we've got to go and find the Batiri that are, have these people that need help. They've got some prisoners, different, I forget what they are, guides, I guess. And so if we can take them down, then the scout will be free. Oh, you saved me. Thank you. These guys glow red, which is a sign that they've got one of those rare critters in this game. Whole bunch of them. Mob of them. When we see undead here, that's because this witch doctor can summon the undead, so you want to take out the witch doctor and then all the undead crumble. Which I think is a kind of cool idea. Also, like these raptor riders, they will run away, throw spears at you, and then they'll charge you and try to run you over, which makes it kind of interesting to deal with them. It's also kind of fun because different characters are good at different things. This guy's really good at handling mobs with that smoke bomb that I can throw, but I'm not good at kind of chasing down folks. I can throw my dagger, which is sort of weak attack, but you know, so there's always pluses and minuses to the builds, keeps it kind of fun. And again, our whole point here is we're taking down the Batiri, finding the Juju bags for Nanny Pu'pu, and we are freeing the scouts. So if we do that enough times, which we're getting there, then we will be in good shape. Sometimes you find the Juju bags amongst the supplies, which I gotta remember to check for. Oh, the other important thing is this whole thing about how they've got a prisoner. And look, there's a prisoner. We'll fight these groups here. Shaman's pretty good too to take out. Juju bag. Whoop. Poison. Poison happens on a recurring basis, so you kind of are hurt, and you get hurt again, and then again, until it finally wears off. Well, I'm going to have to take these guys out too. I did not roll very capably, so I was flattened by a Raptor Rider. Inside the tent and fight, it's kind of fun. Let's make it kind of hard to see. More undead. There's a witch doctor around somewhere. Where is that? There it is. That was a mistake to come out. Let's see what we got. Another Juju bag. Alright, so now let's do what Nanny Pu'pu told us to do, which is to find Celeste. Uh-oh, she's in bad shape. Vicious wounds. But I'm putting this cloth over her and she's teleported to Nanny Pu'pu. That's a good way to uphold a bargain. Remember that trick? That's a great trick, right? Like, hey, your friend is held captive. Take this weird bag with you, which is gonna, like, send her to me. And then, oh, she's actually dead. And but you know, because of this bag I gave you, you have a reason why you've got to come back to me. Yeah, it's cleverly thought through. We are almost there. I guess I'm done them just drinking bags. As usual with these type of things, story-wise, I wish everything was a little bit faster because I don't really super need to kill 400 materia, but it's the way it goes with these kinds of games sometimes. And there's a tricky bag. 8 of them, 2 more to go. Kind of fun. They have trained compies running around, so like just hanging around their area. That's also a fun idea. I really like it when you can show the ecosystem of monsters. So, you know, here we've got all these Bateries, and they ride raptors, and they've got a whole bunch of little trade dudes that trained dinosaurs and little dinos. Like, that's a really cool concept, right? So that's a fun idea. Like, think about that for your next time you've got like goblins or kobolds or something. Like, what if they've trained a swarm of something, right? They have to obey their commands, and that's a neat idea. Maybe they're called in to join the fight, or maybe they're a separate fight, but that's a fun way to spice things up. This game uses a lot of 4th edition type monster attacks, which I super love. So there's a lot of things where, you know, things are shoving you, pushing you back, knocking you prone, trampling you, abusing you in lots of fun ways. But what's neat is that it really communicates the monster, right? You just know, okay, this monster is a huge, beefy, undead ogre that just wallops me and sends me flying backwards, and that lets you know what the creature is, which is something what I really loved when 4th edition was done well. You had these concepts driven home by the mechanics of the monsters. It wasn't just, you know, swing axe at you. Alright, we've come back here to make a bad deal.
What can old Nanny Pu'pu do for you?
Hey, my friend Celeste is dead. Here's your stuff.
You've returned Nanny's magic. Very good. But your friend is dead. So sad.
Yeah, help me with that.
I scried your progress and saw you found Celeste's body. We came as soon as we could.
Oh no! Celeste! Dead!
I can help you restore your friend. But it will cost you.
What price, hag?
A life for a life.
I like how her shadow's
Someone
off.
must die so she may live.
No! We cannot do such a thing!
Done. Will that Bateri's life do?
Yes.
What? No!
Yeah, Mako's the tiefling.
Mercure,
He's in the bad field
Lord
business.
of Bones.
But he also, it's one of those sort of romantic things, kind of, I don't know, romantic friendship. It's good to say, but trying to take care of his friend Celeste, who has been brought to life,
Has
sort
been
of.
animated, my dear. Welcome back.
Animated. I'm undead. No.
A temporary
No.
solution. Once the death curse is out of the way, we can...
Nikos, you're alive? And you did this to me? You monster! Stay away from me. I need to go.
Come with me, Celeste. We have a place in Port Nyanzaru.
I see I'm not wanted here. Fine, then.
I like how Minsk had to, like,
Nanny,
butt in with, like, basically, like,
tell me
I don't know, like,
about this bridge.
college guy routine. Like, by the way, we got a crash pad, you know, right in the middle of, like, the two friends arguing. Pretty sweet. Alright, so now we're going to go back to Port Nyanzaru, having done some good work there, and turn in our, get our next step of the story. The way this campaign does or works, which is similar to other parts of the game, is you've got these sort of story chapters, and you unlock them over time. The double currency is moving at a little faster than normal, but you know, hey, figure out what's going on. and then we're going to progress to this next story piece. And each piece of these has a major sort of story component, like you just saw. So we saw that whole Nanny Pu'pu and Celeste and Makos and the Death Curse, and it's all trying to bring it down to characters, to have players, sorry, to figure out, get the sense of this story, right? Which is a tough task with video games, but it's done fairly well.
Chult is full of fascinating beasts.
Fascinating.
Will you help me with my... let me see that. Yes. Quite. I certainly recall one of the hunters describing this very item. One of the hunters, it was, no, I've lost it. Speak to the hunters. Any further
Pretty good
inquiries?
stuff. So, alright, more rewards. Now we go to Minsk and Boo's crash pad, where now Celeste is hanging out. Celeste looks dead. And as a follower of Selune, that's kind of not cool.
My friend, it's good to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't talk to you earlier.
It's cool, decent storyline here. What do we do? Hey, talk to Wakanga Tamu, and I'm going to talk to Selune, and we'll figure things out. Nothing from Minsk, he's still hanging out. Another campaign that we could talk about is how they do Princes of the Apocalypse. That's kind of an interesting approach. And Minsk and Boo are introduced for that, which is kind of fun.
Who approaches Merchant Prince Wakanga Otamu?
So now that we've done that, Wakanga Otamu will now give us repeating quests. He gives us sort of a general, do enough stuff to qualify and get an unlock, which is a main quest, and you can do that in a bunch of different ways to sort of earn points or completion or whatever you want to call it. We can, up to 6 times a week, do these patrol quests, which are kind of fun. We can do things like you saw where we fought off the huge, the big heroic encounter. We fought off that huge T-Rex. And then we get these various patrol quests to do different things.
The merchant princes recognize what
and some other additional things. It's fine, whatever. It's it's there. It's a structure. I guess you got to have these things in games. But one of the neat things is you can do short little quests, these patrol quests. So you kind of go to let's go recover trade goods, and it takes you a little scene of the jungle. And so I want to show you this because it's kind of fun how they show you different aspects of Chult. You got some axe beaks here, taking your cart, which is neat. They do a very nice job, again, of reproducing the world of it's not just a horse, right? We're not going to have a horse in Chult. It's either a dinosaur, it's something like this. These quests, they'll use the same map, which are always neat-looking maps, but they will have different types of beasts each time. So I guess it's going to be Batiri this time. So we find some compies who are waiting here for us. And sure enough, there we go. Beastmaster Batiri with some charmed compies. Another Beastmaster there. I'll put it. Get another Raptor Rider. There we go. And what else do we have? Our Shaman. Good. Nobody's summoning undead. Sorry, Compy. It was really cute too. But we could have been friends. So I have to recover maps, it looks like, and take out all the bad guys. These quests have a slightly different, there's sort of a couple different variations of what you're trying to do on these maps and how to go about it. Witch Doctor, let's get rid of you. Other undead? Another Witch Doctor around. Oh yeah, over here. Alright, so somewhere there's another... here we go, another map. Looks like it. Head on. These overgrown trees are great. My favorite gamer destination is Angkor Wat. If you ever... that was bad. Pelted skeleton. If you ever get the chance to go to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, that is one of the coolest places to see. It's a lot of the inspiration for this game and similar games that show you this sort of like giant roots over everything growing through ruins comes from those ruins at Angkor Wat. It's just incredibly beautiful there. Highly, highly recommend it. Get some treasure in this chest. Woo! And then the last part of this quest will take us into the temple ruins. We're going to close out this stream, I should say, fairly soon, but we get to see the inside of one of these, which is kind of neat. And after this, I'll also show you a quick look at Omu, which is kind of fun. I'm dead, and the last map piece. Cool. Daggers to you. And you. Oh, somebody else. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Tim. Alright, we've got all our maps, and we can go back. We have murdered enough things to qualify. There's actually a spider up there, which is kind of fun. It can drop on you if you're not paying attention. And there are some other rooms, as you can see on the map. But we've done enough that it considers it done, and we can go out the back side. Ooh, some lions. Lions are no joke. It's so funny. This game, you can like take on a pit team solo, but if you're not careful about these lions, they will chain stun you and do so much damage, and you're just sitting there unable to do anything. So you never know what the game of Neverwinter. Sometimes the wild beasts like bears and wolves and lions are the worst thing there. So that's how that works. Let's now take a look at, I think I have not unlocked Omu on this character yet, no. So let's swap really quickly to another character. And I'll show you the last bit of this stream, which is to show you Omu with my cleric. So Omu is this forgotten city that used to be the capital long, long ago. And this is an area, because it's supposed to be a huge, massive city, it's just a massive, sprawling ruins location. And so we start out in this sort of pocket corner of this area where the Order of the Gauntlet has a little outpost. That's this area on the map. And then there are various shrines to the 9 gods. And then you can go both above ground and below ground. So we're just going to take a visual tour of this, because I think it's just a gorgeous area. And we'll do so in my Acquisitions Incorporated Metal Beholder. I just think this is so cool looking. It's funny how sometimes things that the Spell Plague changed were undone, but I think one thing that went really well was this whole idea of how they interpreted. There's a Razor Tyrannus. Lots of bad guys, I'm dead. But the idea of how they took Chult and condensed it down to really that there's one sort of city that exists, and we you know, from Port Nyanzaru, then we go out into the wild. Like, that works really well. It's a nice way to do it. This huge arena is one where we can fight another huge Tyrannosaurus Rex, King of Spines type. And then there's even a giant gorilla that shows up. Look at that. It's so cool looking. Yeah, it's just, you know, very, very good reproduction of what the hardback adventure is suggesting. Try to run past all these skeletons, so you get an idea of the different visuals. And there's some nice pieces, like, you know, there's some neat sort of, like, you can find here. You use a dungeoneering kit, maybe. You can get up to one of these areas, and you can take a look around with your Scrying Stone. Gives you a neat look from above. You can also, you know, jump off and do other silly things like that. Oh yeah, fight again. So the last thing we're going to take a look at, so I think I've shown you the majority of this. Actually, there's a Yuan Ti area that's kind of cool to look at too. So we'll just swing by there. And what may be the saddest quest they have, I just passed a little like sort of glowing critter. What that actually is the ghost of a little boy from Omu who wants to be taken back home, which is the saddest quest here. Feel free to drop that on some characters, because I just, that's, yeah. Oh, and Yuan Ti. It's all the fun. Yeah, so you see I've been charmed, so I've got the little red stuff around my head, and I've been stunned. All the fun, all the time. Bad timing. Take that. Oh, you're gonna charge me. Or breathe fire. That's cool too. Or lightning, I guess. It's fun, you know, when you play these games, you get rewarded for sort of recognizing the patterns of how they attack and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. Alright, you gotta like that. But, you know, check out the way they redo these ruins. You got some big, neat gorillas that are brutal, kind of Ogrelon type things. Spiders, the Yuan Ti, all of that is reproduced really well. This is an area where you go into the Yuan Ti temples. It's sort of supposed to be a little bit like the Tomb of the Nine Gods, and a little bit like the Yuan Ti area in the book. It's a mix of the two, and it's done pretty well. It's a lot of fun to go against all the Yuan Ti there and figure out some storyline. But we're going to go into the underground for just the last bit of this stream. So there's an undercity to Omu that you can find through various different locations, and depending on where you show up, you're now in this underground map, and as you can see, there's some different zones here. There are even some places you can take that allow you to like either leave this area or go across from one area to the other. But really very neat looking visually. Where did I see it? There you are. Ah, surprise! You know, that's great wall decor. But I like the visuals here. Really fun looking. You got a few strange mushrooms and things like that. Got mandatory hot lava. You can pray at the temples, and this will empower them eventually, which starts up a big heroic encounter, which you actually go against an aspect of a Sararak. But I mean, look at these kinds of cool places, right? That is neat. You got a giant face spider hanging out there, lava falling from below. And the different 9 gods are represented on the walls with hieroglyphics, so you can kind of figure out what area you're in and head towards those shrines. You can, of course, use your map to say, okay, I was, you know, the Shrine of Wango, Shrine of Ijin, Unk, so you can go to all these different areas. And they have little microecologies in here with different types of critters. You got all your, you know, spiders and stuff, and huge jungle tarantulas. Lots of fun stuff like that. Batiri, or kobolds, those are kobolds, I think. So, really very fun. So that's it. I think we've you know, covered some good ground for the stream today. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be posting this to YouTube as the rest of my videos, and I will talk about all this on Twitter and on my blog, alphastream.org. Check out my work there. Thank you all for coming.